Hello everyone, my name is Tori Sullivan-Lavoie. I'm the PILF president and MC for the evening. Thank you for tuning in tonight to support PILF. We have a great evening planned for you with special guests, including keynote speaker Nikkita Oliver. As we begin our program, we respectfully acknowledge that our event today is taking place on occupied Coast Salish land, and that Seattle University is on the homelands of the Duwamish people. We pay respect to Coast Salish elders, past and present, and extend that respect to their descendants and to all Indigenous people. I'd like to begin by thanking our team members for helping us raise money for PILF grants. Our team members are alumni, staff, faculty, and students at the law school who created pages for their friends and families to support PILF. We thank you for taking the time to help us, and with your help, we hope to meet and exceed our goal of funding 15 summer grants tonight. Also, at any time during this program, you can click on the donate link at the top right to make a donation to PILF. Don't worry, you will still be able to hear and see this video while you're making your gift. Our program tonight begins with a few words from the Dean of Seattle University School of Law, Annette Clark. Dean Clark is a proud alumna of the law school. After receiving an MD with honors from the University of Washington School of Medicine and her JD summa cum laude from the Seattle University School of Law, Dean Clark joined the School of Law faculty in 1989. She has been the Dean of the Law School since 2013. Dean Clark.
Thank you so much, Tori. It's a delight to be able to welcome everyone to our 28th annual Public Interest Law Foundation fundraiser. Our theme for the evening is Justice in Action. We're obviously not able to be together in a room, but what this shows is our resilience. We've held our PILF event in our building in Tacoma, in Sullivan Hall, including in classrooms, and of course our grand auction in a downtown Seattle hotel. But what's really important is that we're here together to celebrate and support PILF, our wonderful students, the justice work they'll do this summer with our community partners, and the clients they'll be able to serve because of your generosity. You're going to hear from a great group of individuals this evening who will talk about the vitally important work of our PILF grantees. Being the Dean of Seattle U Law is a wonderful job, and one of the best things about my job is I get to say thank you. And this evening there are a lot of people to say thank you to. Most importantly, to our PILF board, our students who have put so much work into putting this virtual event together, along with our Access to Justice Institute staff. And second, to our gold and silver level sponsors. Our gold level sponsors this evening are Fau Cochran Vertitas Amela and the Connolly Law Firm. Our silver level sponsors are retired Justice Bobby Bridge and her husband John, Healthful Fetterman, the ACLU of Washington, and K&L Gates. Thank you so much for helping to underwrite this event and supporting our students. And third, thank you to the many of you who have already donated. I'm thrilled to be able to report that we're already more than halfway to our goal. I hope that you will be inspired this evening to give on behalf of our powerful advocates for justice. When I think about what justice in action looks like, I imagine our amazing students tugging on the arc of the moral universe and bending it toward justice. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Please give generously. And now let me turn it back over to Tori.
Thank you, Dean Clark. Again, thank you for joining us as we host our first virtual PILF fundraiser. And as Dean Clark said, while we wish we could have had an in-person event, we hope that you will stay tuned to support us in providing these vital grants to students working in public interest law. Tonight marks PILF's 28th year of fundraising to provide summer grants to law students working in public interest law organizations like the Northwest Immigrants' Rights Project, Legal Voice, Solid Ground, and many others. Last year, we were able to award 21 grants with the support of people like you. The amount of full grants is $5,000, which we raised a couple of years ago in consideration of the rising costs of living for law students. To date, PILF has awarded 324 grants to SU law students, and we hope that with your help, we can add at least 15 or more grants to that number tonight. We have a great evening planned for you. First, we will hear from our keynote speakers from 2019 and 2020, Michelle Storms and Justice Yu. Then, we will have a special dedication to SU Law alumna and former PILF grantee, Sarah Lair, who passed away last year. After the dedication, we will hear from our keynote speaker, Nikkita Oliver, Executive Director of Creative Justice. We'll end with a few words from former PILF grantees. Again, during the program, you can click on the donate link in the top right to make a donation to PILF. We'd love to see the amount on the gold bar go up. And I'm pleased to announce that we will have a generous donor who's agreed to match every dollar raised tonight and through the weekend up to $10,000. So please, stay tuned and click that donate button. It is my great pleasure to introduce Michelle Storms, Executive Director of the ACLU of Washington. We were fortunate to hear from Michelle at our 2019 PILF auction, and we invited her here to say a few words tonight. Michelle?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle Storms. I'm the Executive Director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Washington State. It is my pleasure to bring a greeting this evening. Now, when I went to law school many years ago, I went with one reason in mind. I wanted to be a public interest attorney, and I am so grateful that that has been my career, starting as a civil legal aid attorney, serving as a clinical law teacher at a law school, and now protecting, defending, and advancing the civil rights and civil liberties of people throughout Washington State at the ACLU. It wasn't easy to get on the path to be a public interest lawyer, and as hard as it was then, it's actually harder now. The times have become even more difficult with more people living in poverty, more damage to the earth. There are survivors of domestic violence who need representation, people who are houseless who need their rights supported, a fight against mass incarceration and racism and discrimination in the criminal legal system. There is so much to be done, and the organizations that do that work are typically not very well resourced. So when you support a summer public interest grant, you're actually doing several things. You're enabling a law student to do the work of their heart while still keeping their belly full. You're enabling the clients who that student will serve to get the support they need when they may actually have no place else to turn. You're helping the organizations build their capacity and strengthen their work because of what the students will do to contribute to their overall mission. So that's fantastic. But do you know what? You're actually doing even more. I know so many public interest attorneys in Washington, around the country, and even around the world who started out with having a summer public interest grant from their law school. So what that means is that grant put that person on a trajectory to enable them to become the warrior for equity and justice that they are today. And that, my friends, is a sacred, world-changing act. When you support these summer grants, you're not just doing a summer adventure for someone. You are doing a sacred, world-changing act. You are putting justice in action. You are helping to create greater equity and justice for all people. And that's fantastic. That is well worth an evening having a virtual event supporting something that's worth supporting. So thank you so much for all you do. Students, take heart. It's a tough time to be in law school. It's a tough time to start your career, but at the same time, you're going to do it. I'm so grateful for all of you and your work. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.
It is my great pleasure to introduce Honorable Mary Yu of the Washington State Supreme Court. Justice Yu was our keynote speaker last year in 2020, and we're fortunate to hear from her again tonight.
Good evening. It's good to be here with you. Last year, I spoke at this very event. In fact, the gala was my last social event before COVID spread in our community. I recall that evening because I asked those in attendance to bring to mind a visionary, someone who they knew that stood for justice, someone who held out a moral vision for equality and fairness. Those who were present might want to bring that person back to mind. This year, we're being asked to reflect on justice in action. Justice in action is what follows moral clarity. Rather than just embrace values, we are being asked tonight to encourage and enable law students to be engaged in action. I think each of you will agree with me that we learn the law best when we are engaged in service, when we are face to face with a client, when we are addressing real problems of real people. I'm here tonight with Michelle Storms to encourage each of the law students in attendance to continue to be engaged in justice in action. And I'm asking all of the lawyers who are here tonight to encourage and support those law students. We must support those students who find themselves attracted to public interest law. We need them for our future. They, in fact, are our change agents. They are our hope for the future. Justice in action. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle and Justice U. It's so wonderful to hear from two very inspirational people. And now, a dedication to Sarah Lair, SU Law alumna and former PILF grantee.
Good evening. My name is Mike Cattell. Sarah Lair was my wife and my best friend. On behalf of our entire family, I want to thank you for your support of the Public Interest Law Fund, and I want to extend a warm thank you to the generous donors who have specifically honored Sarah's legacy. Sarah was very proud to be an alum of the law school and for its orientation toward social justice. While we still struggle with the tragedy of Sarah's loss, we are also incredibly proud of Sarah's achievements and her demonstrated commitment to using her skills and her privilege to advocate for systematically oppressed people, from farm workers to prisoners and beyond. Sarah's legacy is a model of a life of justice that we can all follow. Sarah achieved an incredible amount without seeking the spotlight or recognition. She simply looked for ways she could contribute, and when she was asked to do more, she did. And when she was asked to lead, she did that too. The aggregate sum of all the different ways that Sarah supported and enriched the work of grassroots organizations and activists is an enormous contribution, one which changed lives, leaving the world better than she found it. I hope you will take inspiration from Sarah's life, as I have, and continue to commit yourself to the liberation of oppressed people and the achievement of a truly just society.
I'm Shankar Narayan, and this is my very short tribute video to Sarah Lehrer. Sarah and I first met when she was in law school, and I was a budding immigrant rights activist with One America. And Sarah really stood out to me at the time. She had this incredible, unwavering commitment to the work, which was really difficult work. It was about people getting separated from their families, people being detained and deported. And Sarah really had this fierce, unwavering commitment to that work. But somehow she managed to do it with an incredible spirit of optimism and a smile for everybody that she met. I think her warm personality is something that those who knew her will never forget. And that incredible optimism and that spirit persisted throughout the time that we were friends for many years. She made such incredible change in the world. She touched so many lives, and she did it all with that wonderful smile. So as I think back, I think that warmth that Sarah had, that fierce optimism and that incredible commitment are all things that I'm going to miss really, really dearly now that she's no longer with us.
Hi, this is Jason Amela. I went to law school with Sarah and came up here to the mountains because she was one of my closest friends in law school, and I think we skied at just about every ski resort there is in Washington. But I came here because during those trips, I think is when I got to know her the best, and we had a chance to talk about what we wanted to do with our lives after law school once we grew up and weren't baby lawyers anymore. How did we want to try to make the world a better place? And as you can imagine with Sarah, that was always the focal point of our discussions, including, what does that mean? Personal sacrifices for her, and the emotional sacrifices. what did that mean to really devote yourself to helping others? And that was Sarah. I will say on a personal note, I don't remember her ever getting really mad at anyone, even when they deserved it. But what I do remember is sometimes her getting frustrated and almost not understanding, when people didn't see the world how she saw it, and how people couldn't view the world with as full of a heart as she did, and to truly want to help everyone and to make sure everyone had a fair shake. And I think she just couldn't quite understand why people couldn't see the world like she did. And I think that's the reason why all of us that were influenced by her will carry on, hopefully, some small part of Sarah's legacy and what was important to her. And that was to help everyone, even when sometimes, or most of the time, people may not know that you're the one doing the helping.
Thank you to Sarah's friends, colleagues, and family for honoring her tonight. One of the PILF grants for 2021 will be named after Sarah in recognition of her work and commitment to helping others. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Nikkita Oliver. Nikkita is the Executive Director of Creative Justice, an arts-based alternative to incarceration, and a healing engaged, youth-led, community-based program.
Peace and good evening, community. My name is Nikkita Oliver. I use they, them pronouns, and I am a public interest lawyer and community organizer here in the Coastal Salish Territories, living on Duwamish land. I am very honored to share space with the Seattle University Law School Public Interest Law Foundation and to be a part of raising money for this very important opportunity for law students to serve in our community and be sustained. One of the most important lessons I learned in law school is that the law and justice are not the same thing. I remember studying in property class, the Marshall Trilogy, learning about how the law had justified the stealing of land from our native relatives, wondering if I would be the only student in class to raise my hand and ask, why are we still learning these cases when they're so problematic? So I waited. Me and another Black student in class, we sent each other messages, rock, paper, scissoring, who would bring it up so that the rest of our classmates would have to engage this conversation. And of course, I lost. And within the last 5 minutes of class, I raised my hand. I asked my professor, why aren't we talking about the problems presented in these particular cases? And he told me, as a lawyer, you need to know the black letter law first and foremost. I left that class wondering, how is it that us students that are interested in matters of justice, understanding the ways in which we want to see the law transformed, can make this a reality? How do we learn about public interest law that is deeply woven into community and transformative? Because we know there have been plenty of laws that are unjust and plenty of issues of justice that have taken time to get codified. This brought me to thinking about, what is justice anyways? Cornel West says that justice is what love looks like in public. Now, I know that love means a lot of different things to different people. I think of love as an action. It requires our time, our commitment, our energy, our passion, and even our resources. Love, at least, should never do harm, but at its best, should bring about healing. And justice, true justice, should never do harm. It should be active, and at its best, it should bring about healing. When I think about the importance of public interest law opportunities for our future lawyers, it is us figuring out how our deep love and commitment to our communities, especially queer, trans, Black, Indigenous communities of color, low-income communities, how we actually show our commitment to seeing the law transformed to truly reflect justice, to truly reflect our commitment to love in public. And for me, that is what opportunities like the Public Interest Law Foundation present. An opportunity for us to find ourselves embedded in the communities we care about, For some of us, the communities that we come from, for some of us, the reason why we were so passionate about getting into law school in the first place. So when you think about donating to the Public Interest Law Foundation, I want you to think about how the law and justice may not yet be the same thing, but we have the power to make them one and the same. I want you to think about how if justice is what love looks like in public, it is our role, it is our commitment, it is our passion to make that a reality. Thank you.
Thank you to Nikkita for that inspiring message. And now we will hear from some folks who have received a PILF grant and what it means for them.
Receiving the PILF grant back in 2011 allowed me to have the experience that I did at the Seattle Office for Civil Rights. It was there that I really saw how I could use my law degree as a tool to address systemic inequities within government systems. It was because of that experience that I am where I am now, addressing those same issues at the Supreme Court level. I know that programs like these make a difference because they made a difference in my life. Your dollars tonight, whatever you can give, will make an impact. Because I may have been the first woman of color on City Council, but I know that programs like this will enable it so that I am not the last, because you are supporting students who are going to be the ones in my position in the future. So please, give whatever you can, knowing that your dollars will make a difference for our future. Thank you.
When I think about what receiving this grant means to me, I'm reminded of a quote by Justice Sotomayor of the United States Supreme Court, where she said, "A role model in the flesh provides more than inspiration. His or her very existence is confirmation saying, yes, someone like me can do this." And I think it's amazing how Justice Sotomayor did not describe what a role model in the flesh necessarily looks like. Instead, she left it open for interpretation, because role models in the flesh comes from all walks of life and comes from all forms of experiences and looks different from you and looks different from me. And this is part of the reason why I am proud to receive this grant, to show the next student who is a child of refugees who might be questioning whether or not he or she may be able to pursue a legal education, that yes, someone like you can do this too. So I ask that you please support students like me in achieving our interest in pursuing a public interest career by donating to PILF. Thank you.
Your gift today in support of PILF matters. It matters to students, it matters to the organizations where PILF grantees spend their summers, and it matters to the community and individuals assisted by these students. Today, Justice in Action starts with you. As I mentioned before, we've set an ambitious goal of funding 15 or more PILF grants this summer, and we cannot do this without your commitment and support. I'm honored to share that SU Law alum Pete Talovich has stepped up to the plate to offer a gift of $5,000. Please join Pete in helping to ensure the PILF grantee program continues to thrive and grow at a time when we need it more than ever. If you haven't yet, please support PILF by clicking on that donate button at the top right of the page. While you're doing that, we'll hear from more PILF grantees, including alum Kevin DeLabon, extending their thanks for your support.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Kevin DeLabon. I'm a 2011 graduate of Seattle University Law School, and I'm currently the Advocacy Director at Legal Aid of Arkansas. Thank you to all of you for opening your heart to PILF. For those of you who are able, thank you for opening your wallet to PILF. Just know that it's much appreciated. I myself am a two-time PILF grantee. The first summer, I had the chance to work for Columbia Legal Services in kind of an affirmative litigation, deep research, constitutional issue sort of environment. My second summer, I got to work for Law Advocates, which was more of a volume-based direct services provider in Bellingham in Whatcom County. And I can tell you that those two threads merge today in the advocacy that we do at Legal Aid of Arkansas, helping so many folks with the day-to-day legal needs that they come to us with. as well as engaging in proactive, affirmative, systemic litigation and advocacy around things like algorithmic decision-making, Medicaid work requirements, fair housing, and other forms of discrimination. All of this was possible in large part thanks to those PILF grants that allowed me to explore my interests and develop some practical experience in these things to which I was so passionately committed. So I'm grateful to all of you. Again, if you have the opportunity and the chances and the means, please do support PILF as much as possible. Thank you for all your support over the years. I wish you all well. And now I want to turn it over to the real stars of the show, the latest PILF grantees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Megan. I'm a 2L at SU Law, and I wanted to say a quick thank you.
Thank you.
Hoha Danunshkit Lagen. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for donating to PILF.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and ojo.
Your donation made my externship in the summer possible. Muchas gracias.
Thank you for joining us tonight and for supporting PILF. With your support, we're able to continue our mission of supporting law students working in public interest and for our communities. Have a great night, and again, thank you.